to subject him to trial. Kanu, through his special counsel, Chief Aloy Ejimako, filed the notice of appeal on Tuesday at the Court of Appeal in Abuja. The grounds of the objection are 7 and mostly predicated on provisions of the Constitution, the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022, and other pertinent statutes. The federal government is the only respondent and to be served through her counsel, Asiwaju Adegbega Awomolo, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Kanu has remained at the Abuja headquarters of the Department of State Services DSS since his extraordinary rendition from Kenya in June 2021. Meanwhile, the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum, AYCF, has declared that Nnamdi Kanu-led IPOB will lose if a referendum to decide Biafra is conducted. The AYCF National President, Yerima Shatima, explained that most Igbos prefer to remain as Nigerians rather than secede to form the sovereign state of Biafra. Speaking with journalists, Shatima criticized the Biafra agitation, claiming it has been taken over by criminal elements. He, however, acknowledged that some Igbos are agitating for fairness, equity, and justice. He said, and I quote, "As a Nigerian, I know that IPOB cannot win a referendum today because an average Igbo man wants to remain a Nigerian. All they are demanding is justice, equity, and fair play. If there is a referendum within the Southeast, I'm sure they will lose because the majority of Igbos want to be Nigerians, apart from a few individuals who are agitating for reasons best known to them." End quote. Kanu is currently leading the agitation for Biafra, has been detained by the DSS since his arrest in Kenya and subsequent repatriation to Nigeria in June 2021. While detained, Kanu has cautioned against the killings and general insecurity in the southeast. In a recent development, the Nigeria Ethnic Nationality Youth Leaders Council Worldwide, representing at least 407 ethnic nationalities, has demanded the immediate dismissal of Mele Kyari, CEO of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited (NNPCL). The youth leaders accused the Kyari of undermining efforts to repair indigenous refineries, thereby benefiting the oil subsidy cartel. They stated that Kyari's leadership had hindered the progress of both government-owned and Dangote Group-owned refineries, perpetuating the country's reliance on fuel imports. The youth leaders urged the government to take action against Kyari and address the nation's refining capacity challenges. The stance taken by the group was in support of the Dangote refinery while condemning the actions of international oil companies, IOCs, which they said are hindering the refinery's ability to purchase local crude oil. You will recall that the Vice President of Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited, Devakuma Edwin, had earlier raised concerns that IOCs were selling crude oil at inflated prices, forcing the refinery to import crude from distant countries like the US, resulting in higher costs. The youth leaders deemed this situation unacceptable as the Dangote refinery was expected to reduce fuel costs for citizens. Meanwhile, former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has sued the Kaduna State House of Assembly over the claim that his 8-year administration allegedly siphoned 432 billion naira, leaving the state with huge debt liabilities. El-Rufai filed a fundamental rights suit at the Federal High Court in Kaduna against the State House of Assembly today. The suit, which was filed by the ex-governor's lawyer, challenged the report of the Kaduna Assembly Committee, which indicted El-Rufai for alleged corruption. In the suit, El-Rufai asked the court to declare the report of the Assembly probe as null and void, as he had not been given the opportunity of fair hearing over the allegations leveled against him and his administration by the committee. Joined in the suit as respondents are the Kaduna State House of Assembly and State Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice. Despite the denial of the Sokoto state government and the reported plan to depose the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, the Muslim rights concern has insisted that the Sultan is still being targeted for deposition. Professor Ishak Akintola, the Executive Director of MURIC, said this in a statement today. He said the bill called the Sokoto Emirate Council Amendment Bill has passed through the first and second readings, and if passed into law, the Sultan of Sokoto will be stripped of certain powers. This is coming on the heels of MURIC historic allegation that the Sokoto state governor is planning to depose the Sultan, and Vice President Kashim Shettima's comment urging the government to rather protect and promote the institution of the Sultanate. The Sokoto state government has, however, denied such plan. Akintola said the amendment is condemnable as an attempt to diminish the influence of the Sultan. He said it is the section of the chieftaincy law which empowers the governor to remove the Sultan that should be amended. You're currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break and return with the news analysis segment. Just stay with us. Welcome back. You're still listening to the World News at 12. Now joining me to discuss issues in the news this afternoon, I have development economics, political, social and national affairs analyst Mr. Peter Anaske right here with me in the studios. Welcome to the World News at 12, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. All right, let's start with Nnamdi Kanu approaching the Court of Appeal to challenge Justice Nyako's jurisdiction. Well, his special counsel, Chief Aloy Ejimako, had filed a notice of appeal yesterday to the Court of Appeal in Abuja. Now they are challenging Justice Binta Nyako's jurisdiction to hear the case. We know that Kanu went to court about a week ago. That was on the 19th. And Ejimako filed a notice of appeal saying that on the 19th of June, the ruling by Justice Binta Nyako, which refused Nnamdi Kanu's application, objecting to the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court to subject him to trial. At this point, is also Ejimako speaking for Kanu. Should we also take it with a pinch of salt? Because I recall that when it was the issue, when it was after the judgment that day, that the issue of negotiating with the federal government came up. And you insisted that it was Ejimako who said that and not Kanu.
Well, things should be put in proper how it should be. Nnamdi Kanu has every reason to seek for jurisdiction of what is going on at the moment. But the truth is that federal government know that Nnamdi Kanu did not commit any offense. So what they are just doing is to use the judiciary to hold him in detention. I keep on saying it. If they have any real thing against Nnamdi Kanu, they'll have jailed him a long time ago. So what they are just doing is throwing him from one court to the other, knowing full well that they have nothing concrete to nail him.
If that's the case, and he knows right now what he's challenging is jurisdiction, would it now be moved from Justice Nyako to another court?
That's what the appeal court have to take a decision on. Does Binta Nyako has the power? That's what the jurisdiction means. Does it have power to try this case? Understand? Because they are falsely accusing him of numerous offenses. But in reality, all those are non-existent. So for me, Nnamdi Kanu has a problem with Tinubu and not the judicial system. It is Tinubu that is holding him in detention.
You said you keep saying it's the president and not the judicial system. Remember that Nnamdi Kanu's case was an inherited one from the Buhari administration.
I say Tinubu inherited Nnamdi Kanu from Buhari, which is very, very wrong on his own part.
When you say wrong, are you saying the first thing he should have done when he got into office was to say, release him?
It is wrong to inherit another person's enemy. You don't do it.
As much as we understand that, what I need a clarification on is, as soon as he became president on May 29, 2023, he should have said, release him.
He has spent a year in office, understand? So if he's not interested in this case, and he has seen that there's nothing real, because more than 3 different courts in Nigeria has given a judgment, release this guy and even compensate him. Understand? So it is Tinubu that is holding Nnamdi Kanu. So they are just using the judicial system as a cover-up.
All right. Still on Nnamdi Kanu and the Biafra case, let's move on to the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum declaring that IPOB will lose if a referendum to decide Biafra is conducted today. Now, the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum president is predicating this on the fact that he is saying that although many Igbos are agitating for fairness, equity, and justice, but they will not want to be a part of Biafra if that many Igbos do not actually want to secede, that they would rather remain Nigerians. Now, I want to ask the question, why do you think that is? I mean, if it is true that many Igbos would rather remain Nigerians than go to Biafra, why do you think that is? What is attractive in the East that would actually make people want to go back, seeing as there is a lot of underdevelopment, seeing that there are a lot of states that need serious development and commercialization? Could this be why Arewa is claiming that the average Igbo man does not want Biafra but would rather migrate to other urban areas, would actually rather remain Nigerians?
Well, Shetima used to be my very good friend when he was a youth, and then I was also a youth. So for him at his age now, still calling himself Arewa youth is very, very wrong.
He's no longer a friend now that he's no longer a youth. Now that you both are no longer youth.
You shouldn't be answering a youth when you are not a youth. Understand me? So he has gone beyond that youth stuff. Understand?
But does that negate the message?
And again, he doesn't have the capacity, the right to speak on behalf of the Igbos. Understand? He should face their own problem, which is far more bigger than that of the Igbos. Understand? So whether Igbos will support Biafra or not is our own problem. It doesn't concern him.
Negating the messenger, let's talk about the message.
When you talk about on the development or that, I don't really understand you.
All right. What we're looking at right now is, if a referendum is to be held today, do you think that the majority of Igbo people would actually prefer to follow Biafra rather than remain Nigerians? Now we're talking about this because, of course, the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum has brought it up. But since you have a problem with the message, and that's why I'm saying let's rather focus on the message, saying IPOB cannot win a referendum today because an average Igbo man wants to remain a Nigerian, although they are demanding for justice, equity, and fair play. If an average Igbo man wants to actually remain a Nigerian, why do you think that is? Is that what is attractive about the Southeast to make people want to say, okay, you know what, if this secession happens, we will be happy to go back to our places of origin?
Well, why Igbos are demanding for separation is because of the injustice in Nigeria, because of the marginalization in Nigeria, because Nigeria is not practicing live and let live. Understand? Igbos want an egalitarian society. Understand? A country where everybody will be free to use his skill and survive. This is all that Igbos are asking for. And he said that what Igbos are asking for is justice and fairness. That is it. So the thing is this: if you are not ready to give us this, let us go. Understand me? If Nigerian state is not ready to practice again, that's a free state, a live and let live state, then they should allow Igbos to go. Short and simple.
Do you think that the average Igbo man is a Biafra agitator?
I'm a Biafra agitator.
You personally, as an average Igbo man?
Sure, I will only speak for myself.
All right. If that is the case, if the referendum, the talks on referendum or regionalization or even the secession happens today, would you be happy and willing to go back to your state?
I will vote for Biafra.
And you would take your children and take them back to your state?
If my children are up to 18, they can take their own decision. I'm telling you of my own decision.
All right, let's talk about actually the state of development and actually insecurity in the nation right now. If talks of a referendum actually happens, right, other people, even though you say you're only speaking for yourself, the insecurity in the southeast, does it not make the region unattractive to people who might actually say, okay, we want Biafra or not?
The insecurity in the southeast is nothing compared to what is happening in the north.
But let's talk about the southeast.
I'm telling you, so there's insecurity everywhere in the world. There's insecurity in Britain, there's insecurity in America. Understand? There's insecurity in the southwest, there is insecurity in the northwest, northeast, there's insecurity in the southeast. And when you talk of development, I was born in the north. I know the whole northern states. Development in the north cannot be compared with what is in the southeast. Understand me? So they are dragging us back. They are not matched to us anything at all. You
keep comparing the southeast to the north. Remember that these are not the only two regions in Nigeria. We also have the southwest as well. If you keep comparing the development in southeast to the north, and you're saying that they're not
excuse me. Shawari didn't talk. It is Shetima that raised this topic. So I am addressing Shetima.
Okay, and that's the reason why you keep going back to the north. All right, would you agree with his statement that if there is a referendum today, that Southeasterners will actually lose?
I say I will vote for justice. I will vote for freedom. Understand? So I'm speaking for myself. Every other person will speak for himself or herself. Understand me? And I say, if you don't want live and let live, if you don't want justice and fairness, then allow us to go. People want to remain in Nigeria if everything is done rightly. We are not asking for preferential treatment. We are not asking for anything special, but allow us to do what we are born to do. That is all. And if you say no, then allow us to go.
All right. There are actually many southeastern states that need infrastructural establishment and development, job opportunities, that need more development than they currently have right now. We have states that they have so many jobless youths, jobless graduates that are building airports. We have states that have not paid their workers for many months.
It's everywhere. It's in the southeast, it's in the southwest, it's in America, it's in Britain. So there's nothing especially wrong about the southeast.
Should we actually be comparing our inadequacies instead of developing ourselves?
If there's a reason to compare, we should always compare. Understand me? Comparing puts yourself on your toes. These people are doing this. I need to do better than them.
All right. Let's talk about Southeast governors. Would you say they are actually seeking, would we say, the development and upliftment of their people with the way that they have been governing this state? If we keep talking about Biafra, would you say Southeast governors that they are proponents or rather they are impediments?
Well, most of them are selfish. Most of them are self-centered. They're only thinking about themselves. It's just from this 2023 that we begin to get good governors in the southeast, in the person of Nnamdi and Peter Mba of Enugu State. So things are taking shape in the southeast.
But that's still a minority if you count that there are 5 states in the southeast. Things are taking shape, and it's just 2 people out of 5 doing what you feel is their best at this point. If it was in 2023 that the southeast actually started getting good governance and that a little rise in their development, how long would it actually take for us to achieve, for the southeast to achieve that full potential to make it attractive to the younger generation who may not be interested in the Biafra agitation?
If these people can get their second terms, Southeast will be a region to be reckoned with.
What then happens with the other 3 governments who you feel are non-functional?
Well, they should be changed, understand? They should be changed.
They should be changed. You're listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I want to move on to 400 Nationalities Council clamoring for the sack of Mele Kyari, who is the NNPC chairman. They're saying that he's undermining the effort to repair our indigenous refineries in order to benefit what they call the oil subsidy cartel. Now, you will recall that the Vice President of Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries had earlier raised concern, saying that international oil corporations are actually selling crude oil at inflated prices, forcing Dangote Refinery to import crude oil from distant countries like the US. Now, this has resulted in higher costs, and at the end of the day, even when this fuel is refined and sold to Nigerians, will still be buying at exorbitant costs. Would you say that this 400 Nationalities Council, that they have a point? Does Mele Kyari need to go for the Nigerian petroleum industry to be better?
For me, that guy should have been sacked many years ago, because he is doing more harm than good in that sector. He is doing more harm than, because one, he is an interested party. He is also into oil, and our refineries working will be against his own business interest. So Mele Kyari is benefiting from Nigeria importing fuel, and because he has hands in Duke oil in the United States. Understand me? He has hands in Duke oil in the United States. So Nigeria importing PMS is a benefit to him. So such a person is not supposed to hold any position that's in government. And I'm bitter what they are doing to Dangote, because other countries practices what is known as country first. So Dangote, being an indigenous oil and indigenous company, should be given that whatever is coming that's from us first. Understand me? So frustrating him is rubbishing all the risks that he has taken in building the destiny. So for me, what they are doing to him is very, very bad. And it's not just him, to 220 million people in this country.
Seeing as when President Tinubu came into power, there was a reshuffling. Of course, he appointed his own ministers, and so many people are not currently, who were in power in Buhari's administration, are not in power, are not holding positions right now. But there are two people who have continued to hold their position. One is the INEC chairman, Mahmood Yakubu, and of course Mele Kyari of the NNPC. But Mele Kyari is whom we're talking about now, and the question is, why is he the best person to lead the NNPCL across these administrations? Well, and why has action not been taken against him? Like you said, he has underlying interest.
Tinubu is also into oil business. Understand? So they could be partners. But Dangote Refinery is a pride to Nigeria. It is a pride to Africa. This is the first time that we are having an indigenous investor investing in our oil sector by building this. Understand me? So trying to frustrate him will send a very wrong message. When you try to frustrate on your own, outsiders will not come. Understand? So what they are doing is sending wrong signals to investors. So for me, that guy should have been sacked many, many years ago. So I'm in support of what the agitators are
of what they're saying about Mele Kyari leaving. All right. Would you say, or would you agree that there is a kind of would you call it a decay or a rot in the NNPCL, or not just in the NNPCL, but in Nigeria's energy and oil sector, which is the reason why so many of our refineries are not up to capacity, despite the millions and billions of naira expended on turnaround maintenance and every other, gargantuan language that's used when they want to sink money into these refineries?
It is corruption of the highest order. It is corruption. People are benefiting from the state of the oil sector. So they will not want things to go on well there. Understand me? Because it will affect their own business interest. So they are happy with the way. Okay, they told us that Port Harcourt or the refinery will begin to work by December 2022, and this is 2024.
And the date keeps being shifted.
So it is corruption. It is corruption. So the presidency should if he's really interested in sanitizing this country, if he's really ready to move beyond his own business interest, he should sanitize that oil sector, because that is also a conduit pipe that has put us where we are in the country.
All right. Mr. Peter Anoske, I must thank you for joining me today on the World News at 12. As much as we want to continue the conversation, it is time for us to go. But thank you so much, and do have an amazing day.
Yeah, thank you.
You're still listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. On the foreign scene, at least 13 protesters have been killed during protests in Kenya, and a section of parliament went up in flames as demonstrations against new tax proposals escalated on Tuesday. An angry crowd broke through police lines to storm parliament in the capital of Nairobi before setting parts of it ablaze. In an address on Tuesday evening, President William Ruto said all means will be deployed to thwart any attempts by dangerous criminals to undermine the security and stability of the country. He has deployed the military to quell the protests. Several groups have accused the security forces of overreacting by using live ammunition on protesters. President of the Kenya Medical Association, Simon Kigondu, told journalists that the figure of 13 deaths was not the final number. Protests against an unpopular finance bill, which includes several tax rises, including tax on bread, have been ongoing for days, but they escalated on Tuesday as members of parliament passed an amended bill. The protests have largely been organized by young people through social media. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that Nnamdi Kanu has approached the Court of Appeal challenging Justice Inyako's jurisdiction. Arewa youths claim IPOB cannot win referendum as Igbos prefer Nigeria. 400 nationalities cancel clamor for sack of NNPC boss Melek Kyari. And the El-Rufai sues Kaduna Assembly over 432 billion naira probe report. And the foreign scene, schools killed and parliament set ablaze in Kenya protests. And that is a wrap on the World News at 12. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP 903 FM. For coverage of your live event and brand news mentioned in the news bulletins, to send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. Area Matter comes up shortly.